So let's get back to our guests for this final category. And so, Devon, I wonder if you would share yours, which, by the way, I also heard some folks mention. And so why don't you go ahead and tell us what it is?
It's Marvin Gaye, What's Going On.
What's going on?
Just a tremendous song. Yeah, tell us about this.
I mean, it's crazy how relevant this song is right now, right? And to me, this song is stamped in a time during COVID. I went out to some protests, and it was.
Yeah, set the scene for us. This is 2020.
It's 2020. We're going out protesting. Breonna Taylor, and people were, had instruments in their hands and at the protests and had drums, and I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. I love that. Bring that. I feel like that brings people together in this time. And so I went home and I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab my guitar. What can I sing? And I was like, oh, what's going on? That's I should learn that. And as I was sitting down learning it, I broke down crying, and because it was at that moment I realized what Marvin was trying to say in 1971 when he put this song out. And it was so crazy how, like I said, how relevant it felt in that moment during COVID, everything, Breonna Taylor, all the things happening, and I had to do something. So I decided to record that the entire album, What's Going On. I decided to cover it, and I was really lucky. I recruited a bunch of musician homies in town, and who became really great friends, and I regularly play music with now, and didn't even ask. I said, hey, can you help me? And they're like, yep, let's do it. And we recorded all the music and got to donate the proceeds of the vinyl to Equity Alliance here in Nashville. And it truly was a moment of bringing people together in this town, and getting to feel like we were fighting for the right cause.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, thank you for doing that, by the way. It's a sort of reminder that particularly when the scale of what we see that's maybe wrong in the world is so large, that we can still kind of affect the patch of earth that we're on, right? And you use the gifts that you've got, use the talent that you've got, and you're a musician, but other people have different skills, right? And use that to affect the change where you are, which is, I think, what Marvin was doing at the time as well, but you sort of both honored that and reinvented it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in that time, in that moment too, I realized what my purpose was, and it was to use music in that way to bring people together, and to fight against the things that the powers that are effing this place up.
Well, it certainly resonates with a lot of people because, I mean, as we mentioned, multiple folks, in the room selected that song. So it's got really powerful resonance, again, across lines that might otherwise divide us, right? And lines that I think, folks in the media sort of want to say, oh, well, they couldn't possibly come together because, look, they have different skin color. They're from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different geographies, whatever. And here you are picking the same song as others in this audience that may be really, really different is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. Mayor, what about you? This will be our last song, so take us home and tell us what you picked, a song about community.
Yeah, this is All Around the World, or The Myth of Fingerprints by Paul Simon.
All right, let's listen to a little bit of this. Okay, talk to us about that song.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a song with not that many verses, but there's so many layers to it, right? Because this is Paul Simon in the post-Garfunkel era really starting to do world music, which already has a layer of the complexity of community, because it's like, hey, I'm discovering new musical ideas, but there's always this this sensitivity to the idea of, is this cultural appropriation? But I think you also find the process of musical discovery is ultimately one of joyfulness and elevation, and I think he managed to, by and large, successfully find that space of this worked. And then within the song, a talk show host who, in that process, whether you're talking about talk radio or television, it's somebody who's very familiar to the community, and you hear that in the verses about the talk show host. It also takes you through this vision of, an abandoned army post, and sort of the choices a community can make that lead you to oh wait, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, and now it's actually abandoned. And then it brings you home, again, with the familiarity of the talk show host. But at the very end, the talk show host's lesson is, this is how we learn to live alone. And I think there is actually something really powerful about the idea of knowing your own identity first before you can actually authentically really participate in community. Because otherwise the community is actually pushing that identity in a way that it can actually create some of the problems I think we face socially.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, as you mentioned, this is a song that's got lots of different layers, and as I was listening to it and learning more about it, it is a really rich song, and I encourage you to listen to it after.
Well, and it's a song that lets you choose, right? Because it's one of those songs that has two titles. It's All Around the World, which also a very community idea, like the fact that there are shared things, or the myth of fingerprints. And that idea is never really explained or fully elaborated on, but myth is one of the most powerful binding ideas around community.
Well, if I might, I really like that second sort of title, The Myth of Fingerprints, because what it conjures up for me is this idea that, yes, of course, we've all got our individual fingerprints, right? But if it's a myth, then what the truth is that we've got a whole lot more in common than just these things that separate us on our digits. And if you're a person of faith, as I am, if you're someone who thinks that in this concept called, the Imago Dei, that we were made in God's image, then frankly, His fingerprints are on us. And I really love that as kind of this bonding element and sort of universality. It's a really interesting song. And yeah, when you think about community in Nashville, now I will ask you to put your mayoral hat on. But when you think about community in Nashville, I mean, you were on city council, you served in a number of other public service roles before that even, and obviously now as mayor. It's sometimes said that Nashville is a city of neighborhoods. Is there an element of community where you feel like we've still got room to grow?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think partly because it's not just the idea of Nashville being one community. The best part about it is this is one city that most people have made a choice to be here, right? So there's something about this place that binds us together. And it could be music, it could be, some other element. It could be how, anything from jobs to the weather to proximity to family to any of those things. But 700,000 of us have chosen to be in this basic geography, and then break it down a little further, and maybe you're in North Nashville, East Nashville, South Nashville, West Nashville. And there's all these layers to community, but of course we have room to grow. I mean, we have tough conversations all the time, and sometimes we actually make transformative progress together as a city, and other times it's hard, and it feels like maybe something is moving back. And because there's been such, I think, a strength of of people's appreciating Nashville and the fact that we have grown. Growth itself is a challenge for a community, right? Adding new members to a community, you want to think of yourself, I think, generally as welcoming. I think most people want to relish the idea of, I could make a new friend today, or I could welcome a new neighbor. But when we really get into it, accommodating new neighbors can be a challenge. Accommodating visitors can be a challenge, and we're going through that still.
Well, you're a rare breed in that you are a native Nashvillian. What's a moment you can maybe point to? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but where you've gone, man, I'm really proud of our community. I mean, I can think of some, they come to mind, but what's one for you? Yeah,
I mean, I think, though by the end of the night, there were other changes that I think the nation grappled with. Here in Nashville, November 5th, 2024, we made an incredibly important choice to invest in our own future with a transit improvement program. It's a huge deal that we hadn't together as a city by the hundreds of thousands come together to make a choice that important in a long time. And I think that's really meaningful, especially after having endured a tornado, COVID, all these windstorms, the civil unrest of the summer of 2020, a bombing on 2nd Avenue, another tornado just a few years later that was devastating, multiple school shootings, right? To still be able to look at ourselves and be optimistic about our future after all the need for resiliency as a city is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, to close us out, and I always end come together music sessions like this, I would love for each of you to maybe share something that you heard from one another, or maybe even something you heard from the audience. We're going to leave Heidi and Baby Got Back out of it, but I'd love to hear something that surprised you, because I'm sure, you didn't know one another's picks. I'm the only one that knew all the music picks before we started playing them tonight. So what's something that you heard that surprised you? Maybe a story, an anecdote, the music itself? Yeah.
I didn't know that Mayor Freddie O'Connell went so hard on the hip hop, on the the Vanilla Ice and
I'm not sure I'd call that going hard on hip hop.
For the record,
Vanilla Ice is not how. We can talk after the show about some other stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Mayor, what about you?
I think because you're an active musician, I think I was maybe surprised by how we went further back in time. Like, we had some throwbacks in your picks, and I think it's awesome to be able to still find the history of music, even just music in America, to know that there are things that still do resonate after one or maybe even more than one generation, and that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely, I'm old soul.
Yeah. No, I love that. And something that I heard from both of you, things that you can't learn on Wikipedia, but I heard both of you talk about the importance of your families and your parents in particular, both on your musical knowledge, but that, again, that stuff binds, right? That you continued to have and continue to have these experiences with, you both spoke about your fathers, and that's something, that's really encouraging to hear kids say positive things about their dads. Maybe I'm just welcome to my therapy session a little bit. Yeah, it's great.
We can compare notes after. Yeah, got a 14-year-old, so yeah.
Yeah. But that was surprising to me, just to learn about your own personal histories and how impactful those men have been in your lives. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Let me just close by saying, and then we'll welcome Jeremy back up to maybe close us out. I wish, honestly, that I could say that I created something, some product or special formula that was on display here tonight. But I really do believe that this is the power of music, right? None of us up here created any of the songs that we listen to. And yet we can still come together and deepen our connection again, this is something that I believe we can do, whether it's with folks that you know already, whether it's with somebody maybe that you just met tonight. You can do this with, as I mentioned, with family or with colleagues or workers or even people who are on the other side of an issue from you, because I think that music has got these real special properties. It's kind of what you might call a common grace. Now, at the very least, the next time maybe you hear the mayor issue a decision that you disagree with, you will know that it came from a real person, right? A person who has experienced loss in a similar way that maybe you've experienced loss. At the very least, you can think about the mayor now like signing proclamations to the soundtrack of Vanilla Ice. I'm going to take a lot of comfort from that, honestly. That's going to really help me. So thank you for that moment.
That's great. I look forward to everybody leaving with that image.
Well, listen, if I am now forever tethered to Montel Jordan, you get to be Vanilla Ice, and that's, it is what it is. No judgment. But if you are interested in following more of our work, I would honestly be honored if you would check out some of what we're doing. Check out our website, sort of fledgling as it is, at cometogetherpodcast.com. There's probably some flyers and some stickers on your tables. My email address is on there as well. We'd love to hear from you. I would love for you to subscribe to what we're doing. You can check out some of the virtual episodes and podcasts that we've done. I am hopeful that this won't be the last time that we partner with TEDx Nashville, because this has been a really, really fun time. And truly, if you'd like to host this kind of event for yourself, definitely shoot me an email and connect, because I really think that this has got the potential to at least take a step forward in healing some of what divides us. I think it's sorely needed. So would you join me in just thanking our guests tonight?
Can I get a round of applause for Shaka here, who did such a fantastic job? This is like for you. This is my first time experiencing that, and I've done dozens of events, and this is one of my favorite events. And I'm so pleased and proud to partner with you, Shaka. Do you think that we should do this again? And would you come if we did? I hope that you would. If you are not a member, then I hope that tonight inspires you to join. There's a QR code on many tables for you to look at doing that. Our next event is next week at Butcher and Bee. There's only 2 seats left. It's part of our TEDx tasting series, where we find a chef to prepare a tasting menu and then figure out what is the idea hidden in the food. And so you get a great meal, you get to meet the chef, and you get to learn something that you wouldn't hear otherwise. And I love what Shaka said about how all of this was uncovered based on music that we didn't create. And that's really what TED is all about. I don't create these ideas, I try to find them. Shaka, you did create an idea we're spreading in this experience. I'm so glad that we're doing it live. And so the membership is about continuing that work, that sometimes you go and watch a TED Talk on the main stage, and we'll continue to do that. But part of our work is to find great ideas, to create experiences for us to spend time with each other and connect with each other and not feel drained by it, feel inspired by it, entertained by it. So thank you for being here tonight, and hope to see you very soon.